welcome to another conversation for the Millionairess magazine and the Millionairess movement. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson, Editor-in-Chief, and today I'm delighted to be joined by our adventure guru, Annette White. Annette is the author of Bucket List Adventures, co-owner of Sugo Trattoria. Have I pronounced that right?
Trattoria.
Thank you. I'll leave it there. The boss at Buck & Co. and the creator of the award-winning travel blog Bucket List Journey. Her mission is to give every person in the world the tools and inspiration to live their bucket list. Sounds good to me. She is a new experience collector whose passion is for checking the world off her bucket list, one adventure at a time. Now, who doesn't want to do that? Welcome to the Millionairess magazine, Annette. We are delighted to hear your story.
Thank you. That was quite an intro. Thank you.
From reading your information, it wasn't always quite like this. So,
no.
A fascinating story, which I really believe our readers and our followers are going to gel with and really relate to, because so many women and men out there go through what you've gone through. But before we get to that, tell us your story of how your journey began to where you are now, where you are today, I should say.
Oh boy. So it's been about 15 years since all of this has started, but it basically began with not so happy times, because I was suffering from a lot of anxiety and a lot of fears, and they were keeping me from doing pretty much everything. I was like literally scared to sit in a hairstylist chair because I don't know, I was afraid, what if all of a sudden something happened and I had to leave and my hair wasn't cut, and I don't know, I just had all these thoughts going on in my head. And then there was just a point, this is going to be the short version of it. There was a point in my life where I was just really tired. I was tired of all the restrictions that anxiety had placed on my life. I was tired of not living my dreams. And at that point, I made two promises to myself. One was to never let fear make my decisions for me. And the second was to start living my bucket list by taking one step every day towards my goals. And basically those two promises changed my entire life. I kept true to those promises. It was not easy. It took a long time. I just kept working on changing my thought process and conquering my fears by taking little tiny baby steps every day. And shortly after that, I started a blog called Bucket List Journey.
Yep.
It started as just a place to record my bucket list and record some of my travels, except at that time I wasn't traveling too much because I was too afraid to travel. But that has all changed. And so that was just over 10 years ago. And that just really kind of took off, and the social media accounts attached to it took off. And then I wrote a book about bucket lists, and then I opened up a shop around bucket lists. I'm obviously a lover of bucket lists. I'm a total bucket list geek. People think that my real passion is for travel, but really I just love living my list. I don't care if it's travel or doing something stupid like I'm trying to learn a song on a harmonica right now, just little things like that.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the short version of all that.
I love your story, but I'm going to ask you to go back, because the ladies listening to this, watching this, thinking, well, from being this is your words, not mine, a hypochondriac.
Yes.
Fear with the, from anxiety to body shakes to, setting yourself crazy, obviously, to being the bucket list guru, the queen of being able to fulfill your dreams, overcome your fears. Let's talk about that a little bit, because mental health right now is a very big topic, as you would know. I think we're talking about Mental Health Month at the moment. Many people are suffering exactly what you went through, Annette. So I'd love for you to share some insights from the moment you just said, enough is enough, Annette. Let's move through it. Walk us through that.
At that point when I said that, I knew that I had to do something For me, I'm not opposed to it, but medication was not for me because I was too scared to take medication because I didn't think it would do me. So I read a lot about anxiety and fear and living your dreams and all these things. And I just kind of compiled what worked for me. One of the things that I did was I kept a journal of every negative or fearful thought that I had. And then next to it, I would write the positive thought. And I did that for 2 months, maybe. And boy, my hand was tired because I had a lot of negative thoughts that I had to work through. So I did that, and that really helped retrain my brain to start not thinking those negative thoughts anymore. I mean, you still have them, of course, but it's easier for me to recognize when I'm having them and flip them around. So that helped. I definitely started working out a little bit more. I'm not a lover of exercise, but I did find that I liked hiking, and it was being out in nature helped me. There were so many things that I did. I ate better, which made me feel better about myself. Um, and then obviously I started living my bucket list. And by taking those baby steps, promising to take just one little baby step a day, it could be a literal tiptoe. Just as long as it was moving forward, was helping to push my comfort zone. And every time that I pushed that comfort zone, everything, my bubble grew. And so the fear was becoming less and my comfort was becoming more.
So let me just retrace here for our ladies. You literally got a journal and you started consciously being aware. I think that's the first step. Would you agree that becoming aware of our thoughts, because that's the only thing we can control are our thoughts, our decisions, and our actions. And so you consciously started writing down your negative thoughts. And in that moment, you were writing the opposite thought, which in your case was a positive thought. And then at that moment, Annette, how did you feel when you recognized the negative thought, like, oh my God, what if I have to run out of the hair salon and my hair's not cut? Being frightened or afraid, what would be the positive thought? And how did you feel when you wrote that down?
Well, initially when I wrote the positive thought, it would feel weird because I wasn't used to it. But I try not to be something like, if it was something like, I have no money to do that, that's not even really a fear, but I have no money to do that. It wouldn't be like, oh, I can be a millionaire. It would be just a baby step, like, oh, I have enough to save and go on a trip to Italy. If I really, really tried, I could do different things to save. So it'd kind of be something more realistic. And initially, I mean, especially when you're so fearful, and I was really afraid of everything. Me saying, oh, I can go to that party and be the star of the party and the life of the party. I know that that's not me, but that's not realistic turnaround for it. So it'd be like, I'm going to go to the party and maybe I'm going to make a point I can talk to one person and have a nice conversation. So it'd be just realistic goals. But when I first looked at all the negative thoughts I had, I thought, oh my God, like, who talks to themselves like that? Like, all those thoughts in your head is kind of crazy. And then when I wrote them down and I started to realize that I was able to change that thought process, I thought, how powerful are we? Like,
that's very empowering.
How powerful.
And I love what you said. Sorry, I love what you said, that you took a baby step, because we don't have to take big, ginormous jumps, just a little baby step, like going to the party and deciding that you could talk to one person, being the star of the party. Those little tiny baby steps add up to big steps in the end, because look at your life now. You talk about being an experienced collector. I love that. Walk us through that and how you've carved your pathway. And probably, like most of us being in business, you've probably had your fair share of naysayers and people who knew your old life, and now you're coming out to live your bucket list. How did you overcome those challenges? And let's talk about the experienced collector that you are.
Experience. I call myself an experience collector because I love to have new experiences, whatever they may be, whether it be trying a new food or going to a new country, or anything like that. And I think the biggest adjustment was maybe for my family and friends to see what I was doing. And then a lot of, I guess, naysayers too about the term bucket list, or about, I don't know, when you're on social media and stuff about being showy, I guess, so those were a lot of negative aspects to it. But I worked through those just like I worked through every other thing. I was living the life I wanted, and I just kept coming back to that and saying, am I still on the path that I want to go on? Or am I letting other people influence me to be something that I don't want to be? So for that, the naysayers, they don't bug me so much anymore, because I know that I'm living my dream, and I know that I'm able to inspire other people to live their dream. So as long as I feel true to myself and I feel like I'm not, lying to myself or lying to other people, I feel okay. Like my life's not bad.
You've come such a long way. It's really inspiring to listen to your story. What was the time frame between feeling afraid to live your life, go after your dreams and tick off your bucket list, to becoming the woman that you are, clearly empowered, inspired, and not allowing the other voices or opinions hold you back? What's the time frame?
Gosh, I feel like, so I've been at this maybe 15 years now, between from first when I made that promise to today. First 5 were pretty tough. The first 5 where I felt like I was really having to work hard at it. And that was okay, because I saw progress. And as long as I was seeing progress, it made me feel good. And then the next 5, I started to more fine tune what I really wanted in life, and fine tune this brand of bucket list journey and all those things. And then the last 5 has turned basically this whole passion into a career. So,
it's profound growth. And through that profound growth, because so many people live the whole life in that fear and anxiety and overwhelm, which leads to depression, not ever having the oomph or tools. Did you have mentors that helped you, Annette? And if so, how important do you believe mentors are to help you through these processes?
I don't, I'm sure I listened to a few people, speak and things like that, but I didn't have one specific mentor. I do believe if you can find somebody like that, that is super important. I'm totally introverted. So for me, reaching out to somebody wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't so, not something I wanted to do, but I read a lot, I watched videos a lot, and all of that, everything I learned from that actually motivated me to move a little further or progress a little bit more. Now I have a network of people who are in my sort of industry and communicate with them. And it's so helpful to be able to bounce ideas off of people, some who are at a different level than you. So I definitely think it's a great thing to have.
Yeah, we do too. We talk about the people that we surround ourselves with are the people we end up like. And so it's just moving in circles that conducive to your success, instead of, I've been around so many naysayers and pullers on my journey as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So trying to move forward. But let's talk about your bucket list. And so what was the first major thing on your bucket list that you got to tick off that you probably thought you'd never accomplish, especially when you were probably curled up in a ball thinking, I'm going to live my life?
The first thing ever that I did, and this is not the crazy thing, but the first thing ever that I did was learn to ice skate backwards. And that's not crazy. But the first fearful thing that I ever did was skydive. And
I can't do that.
That is like going from being fearful to jumping out of a plane. And I'm afraid of flying. So the whole thing was like, what am I doing? That is one of those where you say yes, and you just go with it. Like I said, yes, I will do this the night before. And I don't think I slept that whole night.
Oh,
and then like, by the time you're in the plane, it's too late. You got to do it.
Did you go solo, or did you have somebody with you?
No, I did tandem.
Good.
Yeah, heck no, I don't think I could do solo. But that was the first like scary thing. But there was a bunch of little things that I did just to work up to it, like the ice skating backwards, just little things. So that, because advocate having a couple different goals at different levels, so you feel motivated by achieving them, so I'm working on something major, and then I'll have some little goals that I'm working on too, because as I achieve those, I feel like, oh, that motivates me to do something more.
Well, you've got just such a great attitude to life, and I think that's a major step forward. And I'd love your thoughts on it. For anyone who's feeling overwhelmed, like life is not going anywhere, you're anxious, feeling hopelessness. What would you say your attitude has it played a big part in who you've become over the past 15 years?
Yeah, I feel like my attitude of I can change and I can change my life is really what changed my life. And I think that a lot of people who are fearful or believe they don't have finances or whatever it may be to do something, they're stuck in that negative thought process of just keep telling themselves, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm too scared. I'm this, without making any progress towards moving towards that goal. So I always recommend that people, of course, break down their goals. I take every big goal, set milestones, like major milestones. And then under the milestones, I put my daily steps that I'm going to do in order to get to that milestone. It doesn't seem like much when you take this daily step. You're like, I'm never going to get up that staircase, but you will. Like every time you take a step, it's moving forward towards your goal. You just have to continuously do it.
I love what you said. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I have we call them big rocks, and every day under those, the priorities in order, and just one step at a time, because it just seems so big and so hard to achieve. But like you said, it's like climbing a great big stairway. One step at a time, you will get there. I just love the way you think, and it's broken it down into such simple steps.
Yeah, when you look at the entirety of a goal, it can scare the crap out of you. I remember actually the first trip that I did for work, I was invited to go on safari in Africa. And this was right when I was coming off of being fearful, and I was still fearful. I mean, I think we're all still fearful at times. But I was like, how many fears I had to conquer in order to actually even get to Africa were amazing. But I'm like, I'm not going to think about being in Africa. I'm going to think about all these little baby steps, like getting vaccinations and getting a visa, and just go with it. And that still is one of my most memorable trips I've ever had in my entire life. And probably because I had to conquer so many fears in order to get there. But also everybody should go on safari in Africa because it's amazing.
Well, my husband's wanted to do that for so many years, and I've promised him in the next couple of years, well, who knows, in the next few years, maybe, that we would love to do that as well. But I love what you just said there, Annette, when you said, instead of thinking the big scary picture, focus on the now and just move through the now, one step at a time. But you've written it all out, you know where you're going. It's kind of like a roadmap, and that keeps your mind from going crazy, because our minds, we make up so many BS stories in our mind, don't we? We just tell ourselves a bunch of crap that keep us.
I know.
Oh. So I want to ask you now, you've turned your problems into possibility, into success. So what was the steps going from problem to possibility to creating an amazing business now, where you're successful in business, you're helping other women and guys just like yourself tick off everything on their bucket list, live their dreams, make money from the things they love. What was the journey to being there?
Boy, that's a good question. That was a long journey, but the whole start was actually creating this blog and writing about my experiences on the blog. And then once I started to figure out how to blog and how you could actually make money doing that, and how people will help to support your bucket list, I started doing hard work. That's all. I mean, it was really hard work. So I reframed my blog. Basically, in the beginning, it was just about my bucket list experiences, and I wanted to record what I was doing to hold myself accountable and maybe share with others, and realizing that people also wanted to know how to do these items, or get inspired or do all these things. So I had to maybe pivot a little bit. So I did that. that was the first step basically to start earning money. Is I started earning money from my blog and then from the social media accounts. And then I got approached by a publisher after that to write a book. And then I decided to open up a store, an online shop related to bucket lists. So I don't know like what steps there was, except for I worked my butt off. Like, I think that, so many people come and ask me, I want to start a blog or I want to start a brand. How do I do that?
Yeah.
And I give them the first 10 steps. I'm like, here's your first 10 steps. After you do those, contact me and I'll help you a little further. Not one person has contacted me after those first 10 steps because it's work. It's like, and I think people look at it and say, oh, you're just passion and you're living your dream and now you're making money. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really work like that, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's the best job for me in the world. Like, I literally can't imagine doing something else. It'll get me emotional just talking about it because I can't believe that I found my thing, And I think everybody, if they can find their thing, I was telling my girlfriend the other night, I'm like, because she wanted to get into a different career. I said, well, what would you do for free? I blogged and lived my bucket list and shared with people probably for 5-7 years, not making a dime because I loved it. So what would you do? What is that thing for you? And then think outside of the box. How do you turn that into a career? Or how do you make money doing it? Because careers aren't traditional anymore. It's not these Monday through Friday 9 to 5s. I mean, nothing's traditional right now, but anyway, like it's not, it can be anything, So how do you turn that passion into a career? So.
This is pure gold. I hope your ladies watching this are taking copious amounts of notes, because what you're in essence saying is that you're living your purpose. You love what you do what you love, but more importantly, show other people how to live a life that they love. That's what we're all about. That's why you're so aligned with our message. And I really believe that you can turn your mess into your message, the impossible to possible. But that's what you've done. And from what I can gather, you've got multiple income streams, which is very, very sexy and gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
And living your life.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, who would have thought? Like, literally, I am getting paid to travel the world.
Yeah.
Live my bucket list and inspire people to do the same. Like, it blows my mind to even say it. Like, it's incredible. Like, I'm very, very blessed. But again, worked hard to get here.
There's no free ride.
Yeah.
I say that, ladies, there's no free ride. However, what I do know from my own experience, because I've had 14 businesses.
Oh my gosh.
Only ones that have ever been successful, Annette, are the ones that have my heart and soul, where I'm emotional talking about it just like you. And that's when what would you do for free? Then you're living on your purpose, and you can make money if you just use your imagination. And obviously there's certain processes and steps, but it's possible, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a type of person who thinks anything's possible if you are willing to be dedicated and passionate and work hard. But it really is possible. If you're passionate about something, there's some way to turn that into a career.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. You have to think outside the box sometimes.
Well, like you just said, Annette, the world's never going back to normal. This is normal. I mean, we're on a global stage here. And I love it because my dressing room's just down the hallway. I didn't have to get on a plane, get over there. And, that's the old-fashioned way. And so I think we're in a time of prosperity, a time of so much possibility. Do you agree with that? Where everything's possible if you think differently than you did before.
Yeah. I mean, I think the world was changing even before this environment that we're in now, into people thinking in a different way and thinking anything is possible, or definitely not the tradition. So I especially now think that this has caused everybody to reevaluate. And I know for myself, who hasn't traveled now in 7 months, or been on a plane, I should say, I have gained some new perspective and I've learned some things that I want to keep when this is all over, and I learned some things that I'm like, oh no, get me back there, So I think it's, we're all learning, and yeah, there's definitely opportunity if you look for opportunity. I think you just have to see it.
So, based on your experience and expertise in this space, we're talking about a little bit about mental health. What would you say to the woman or the guy, even watching this interview? They're at home, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling anxious, fearful of life, their future. Everything's in a turmoil, but they have a dream, they have a bucket list that they would so love to live. What would you say to that person? And what would be the first maybe 3 steps that person can take?
I would say start today. Number one is like, do something different today. It doesn't have to be something very scary, but do something that is not normal for you, whatever that may be. Because getting out of that routine, it empowers you a little bit in some way. Then I would say create a plan of what you want, and maybe all the steps, like I said, the milestones and the baby steps you're going to take to get there. And then just work on the daily steps. Don't look at the big goal. Don't think about the big goal for a minute. Think about just that little baby step and make a promise to yourself that you're going to stick to it, and reward yourself. I like to do that too. Like after you've done something for the first time that scares you and you've stepped out of your box, reward yourself, whatever that may be. Piece of chocolate, glass of wine, whatever it is.
I'm with you, girlfriend. You got to reward yourself, because most women, we spend more time beating up on ourselves, pulling ourselves down, than we do cheering ourselves on. Because no doubt, like every human being, you've had your fair amount of challenges moving through your fears and your anxieties. When you hit the wall, 1 step forward, 2 step back days. How did you get your big girl pants on and move 2 steps forward once you'd gone 2 steps back?
Yeah. I think that I understood that I was going to take 2 steps back. You have to understand that sometimes you're going to have those setbacks. It's total normal for everything in life. And I said, I don't care. I'm sticking to my daily step, and I'm going to do it today, even on those days when you don't feel like it. Because there's going to be days. I mean, there's days I don't even want to travel, like, oh my gosh, I got to get in the airplane again. I mean, I love it. It's my passion, but sometimes you don't want to. So I think it's just about going through the motions at that point and knowing that it's going to get somewhere, even when you don't feel like it. And sometimes you need a break too. Maybe take a day and say, okay, I'm going to take today off, reset, and then maybe start again tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that. Taking a bit of time out. The one thing, us women, and I know I'm guilty of it, being a businesswoman, and then you're trying to run a home, and then you got a marriage, or you got kids, or you got everything going on, and you're trying to be Wonder Woman. Sometimes just taking a day out, and I think this is so hard. It certainly is as a businesswoman. You feel guilty taking that day out, but wow, what a difference it makes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think overcome the guilt.
That is so, because, gosh, I talk about this a lot with my friends about the guilt of, because I'm a workhorse. This is what I do. We own a restaurant, my husband and I, so I'm there every day. Plus I'm trying to run this other business. And then there's sometimes I just have to say, stop, I can't carry on like this. And for me, I feel guilty all the time about if I take time off. I'm like, oh, I could be working. I could be doing this. So I just have to tell myself that it is better for me and is healthier for me to take a break, because when I come back rejuvenated, I can work. I get so much more stuff done. It's almost like having a good night's sleep. When you have a good night's sleep and you wake up, you're like, I am ready to take on the day. So it's the same as if you take a break and give yourself time. I think you come back stronger.
Well, you're a fabulous multitasker. I mean, you've got the restaurant, which sounds amazing. I so love Italian food, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
now, did you have that when you were suffering those years of fear and anxiety? How did you work through that? Because you got to get up and face the music, girlfriend, and get into
Yes.
work.
I have actually been in the restaurant business my whole life. So this was actually our third restaurant that we owned. We've had it now for 13 years.
Wow.
The restaurant, it is so stressful, but it was more, it felt like a home to me. So it almost felt like a safe zone. So that it wasn't like when I was there, I was leaving my comfort. So that part, I think the multitasking of it all was really hard, especially in the beginning, because I was literally cooking on our line, every day and night. And how do you live your dreams, and how do you conquer your fears when you're behind, sauteing?
I had a food business. It was my biggest nightmare, because I was 3 a.m. start till 6 p.m. I had no life, but you obviously got it worked out. I didn't.
Well, I think that was when I started too. And then when I started also, wanting to live my dreams and conquering my fears, I decided, well, in order to do that, I can't be at this restaurant as much. I can't be actually working a productive shift where I can't leave. So I set up systems in the restaurant, a little bit more black and white systems, so that anybody could follow them. We did it. We got like POS systems that I can access and do payroll from anywhere in the world. We have handbooks and checklists, and we did all those things. And I remember in the beginning, like my husband and I went to lunch, we took a half hour or an hour off of work, and it was like, oh, pat on the back, we left for an hour and everything went good. And so then that just kind of graduated to leaving for 2 days and for, a week. And
I love that. That's a real business. I talk about that, the 80-20 rule, we call it.
Yeah.
Eventually, you want to be 80% of your time is thinking about the business. The systems eventually should be running the business. Easier said than done, I know.
It is. I know. I say it. It was like, it's hard, but it's just like anything else. You have to work at it. It's like nothing's going to come. You can do the same thing every single day and you're going to get the same result. You've got to do something different.
Annette, what are you most proud of on this journey? Because I know that as women, again, it's sometimes very difficult for us to look in the mirror and say, wow, girl, you've gone from this to there. It's been such a journey, ups and downs, everything in between. I understand business and I understand the life that you've probably gone through to get the success that you have, and dealing then on top of that with your mental health issues. Wow. What are you most proud of? Is there a particular moment or the whole thing?
There's so many. But yes, the whole thing. When I look at what I have created, I'm blown away. Like I'm actually known to give myself a pat on the back, like literally. Like
I'm giving you one.
I'm hard on myself too. But I think the whole building this whole brand, and I'm not done. Like I feel like I have so much more to do, but building the brand, super proud moment. Having my book published, super proud moment, because that's probably one of the hardest things I had to do. And keeping true to my promise, to not let fear make my decisions for me. Like that, I know that's easy to say and not do, but I really worked hard to do it. And that, I guess, I'm proud of, because I wouldn't have this life if I didn't. So.
And you just love your life. And I've looked at you, as I said, your Insta page is phenomenal. Ladies, please check out Annette's Insta page. I've seen a lot of pictures in my time. I've traveled a lot. These are next level, really beautiful and incredible. And I was leaning into the computer, getting in there, like they are really outstanding. And it really took me to a place. I felt like I was part of your journey with you, even though there's stills. Just beautiful. And I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah.
And do you have any other messages that you would love to share with a businesswoman out there who's feeling frustrated with her personal life, her professional life, but she has all these things on her bucket list that she so wants to tick off?
Yeah. besides starting today and making progress towards it, just pick one thing that you're really passionate about first. Don't think about everything. I think we can all get too consumed about, oh, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that and I'm not doing that. Instead, just pick the one thing you do want to do and work towards that, and make progress towards that, and then worry about all the rest later. Human beings are incredible people, and we can do whatever we want to do. And women, we've proven to be strong, and I think that if you just have the mindset that you're going to achieve it, you'll achieve it.
I couldn't agree more, and you're so resilient, and your story speaks volumes about what is possible no matter where you are in your life. You have it within you to take that first step forward. Focus on where you want to go, get that list, focus on your thoughts, write them down. I've got all these things in my head that you've shared with us today, which is absolute gold. And I have one final question for you, Annette. And that question is, what would you love to be known and remembered for?
I would love to be known and remembered for inspiring other people to live their dreams. Yeah.
And I think you're
doing their bucket list, really.
I was thinking that you've got it behind you to tick off their bucket list. And your story is so inspirational for our followers. And as I said, you are so strong. To go from where you were to where you are now is truly an incredible story. And it is such and it's a story that I think a lot of women will feel empowered just listening to and looking at your website, looking at your Insta, and seeing that everything is possible and that they too can tick off and actually live their bucket list instead of just wishing, hoping, and praying that something will be different. And I want to thank you from my heart for sharing your story today with Millionairess magazine. And I really believe that your story will captivate so many thousands of women. So thank you for being
Thank you. Thank you. It was great being here. Thanks.
Just loved it. So, Annette, we look forward to seeing you inside the magazine. And again, thank you for sharing your vision and your mission. And I look forward to seeing you again. I hope one day soon when I get back to America. Who knows?
Well, best adventures to you.
Thank you so much. And you have a beautiful afternoon. And of course, we'll be in touch very shortly.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.